What's the deal with this 7-year deconditioning process? Why does it take so bloody long, especially when there are tons of other total life change transformation seminars that promise you results in 8 weeks, 21 days, a few hours, 3 milliseconds, right? It doesn't make human design seem very appealing. But let's just understand what the difference is and what we're actually trying to achieve. Okay, so the image I like to use is, how long does it take to stop a moving train? If you imagine yourself as an object moving through space and the direction you're going right now and all the baggage that you're carrying with you, right? My other day job is osteopathy, integrative manual therapy. And in osteopathy, we see the person in front of us. This is simply the result of a process that began even before you were born in the womb. And none of it is your fault. Understand that everything from your mother's nutrition when you were in her belly to how your parents treated you in the first 2-3 years of your life had a huge impact already on the development of your brain, the potential of your physical hardware for awareness and intelligence. And I'm not just talking about being smart, also emotional intelligence, social intelligence, how confident you are in your ability to stand on your own 2 feet and make an authentic decision or speak your truth in this world. We see the world as kind of like the second placenta in osteopathy that you implant into. And that's not even starting on school and all the terrible, generally, conditioning that we get from our education systems, because they're not about empowering you to be a beautiful, creative, talented individual expressing anywhere near your full potential. They're about training you to fit in to the normal homogenized social system, right? Of life, work, family unit, whatever. And you're carrying all that with you. And that's shaped your body on a deep cellular physical level. So it's not just about changing your thoughts in a weekend or saying I love myself in the mirror every morning or drinking carrot juice for 21 days. This is about thousands and thousands of deeply inbuilt habits. And the reason we say it takes really 7 years in order to not add new things, we're not trying to add new ways of thinking, we're actually trying to take away everything that is not natural and aligned with who you really are and your potential in life, in order for you to be able to feel and touch something that's buried in there, your essence, the feeling of what is you. Before you start thinking about what do I want, what shall I do, what's my purpose in life, who are you? You don't know any of these things until you know who you are. Because otherwise they're simply the product of all of this bullshit and nonsense, conditioning, education, parenting. None of it's your fault and none of it's anybody else's fault because they didn't know any better. Even if you think they did, when you start on the deconditioning process, you realize just how deep it is and that there really is no choice, because layer by layer, you see that imprinting, there are levels of imprinting that you cannot get to, that happened in the first 3 years of your life. And when we're coming to human design as adults, we're forever going to be compromised, okay? Even after deconditioning. Let's just accept that, because physically, our brain development, if it wasn't nurtured and nourished in the right way, that's always going to be a slight handicap. However, the potential that you can still achieve still get to by learning how to nourish yourself correctly and make decisions in a authentic way. It's far beyond anything you can possibly imagine right now if you're at the beginning or even partway through the process. You think you can imagine what it's gonna be like to feel like myself and be deconditioned. But really, all those ideas and those concepts are coming from your conditioned self. And you see all kinds of ways that people try to find shortcuts and go, oh no, but I've been meditating for 25 years, so it'll only take me 2 years. Or I drink super filtered, activated water so I can flush out my cellular memory much faster. Because one of the reasons it's 7 years is also simply that about every 7 years, most of the cells in your body are replaced. And in human design, we have a deep respect for the body, for the physical hardware. It's like taking an old computer from 10 years ago and trying to run today's software. You simply are going to be bogged down. And so a lot of the potential of your awareness today is dependent on the health of your hardware. And, well, like I say, all the memories, the imprints, the bitterness, the frustration, the stuckness, the disappointment, the anger, the blame, the fault that you're carrying with you as baggage. And coming back to that image of a moving train, you're going in a certain direction with a huge amount of momentum. How easily can you just switch out of your current lifestyle, change your social network, your job, your family? Maybe you've got kids from relationships that were simply incorrect for you. So 7 years is also about having compassion for yourself, right? And taking off the pressure and the expectation that you've got to be different tomorrow. It's really unfair to go to a 1-hour workshop and expect that of yourself. And the thing is, people really like to take credit for everything, okay? So if I achieve an amazing thing in my life, then I'm naturally going to want to think that was because of me. And the same if I make horrible mistakes. The first go-to of my mind is to blame myself. But that's completely forgetting that all of that is the result of thousands and thousands of chains of dominoes through time, right to before you were even born, that have conditioned you and given you the opportunities that you've had and made you arrive to this point in this way. And if you change just one little domino, hey, you cross the street in a different place and you didn't bump into that person who gave you the opportunity to rent that flat, which is why you met your girlfriend, and etc., etc. Everybody who's a self-made this and that and tells you that you can do it too just because they did it, well, bollocks. They're not you, you're not them. Comparison is torture, self-torture. So the best way to approach deconditioning, and of course we know that we won't, but just as a reference to be aware of, is with as little expectation as possible and letting go of those goals, those mental ideas of what you think you'd like to achieve in your life. It's about letting go of things more than adding or trying to get more. It's very Taoist in that sense, and it's a feeling of getting lighter in your body, feeling easier, having less physical problems. Because in osteopathy, we certainly say that the amount of discomfort and issues that you have in your body is a reflection of how far you are from yourself. And I've always found that to be true. And when people understand their nature and start to make decisions and align their life in a way that's respectful of that, including are healthy limitations. A lot of these personal development courses are about breaking down and destroying limitations. Well, what if limitations are what make you who you are, and a part of the beauty of life is all about limitations, but the right limitations, not limitations created by the mind. It's true. But you wouldn't be here incarnated in a body which has physical, healthy limitations. Just like all of life, nothing lasts forever. A fish can dream of climbing a tree, but for some reason, we're educated to think that we can be and achieve anything we can dream of, and it's our personal fault if we don't manage to, because we didn't work hard enough, because blah, blah, blah. And all that does is it fuels the mind's addiction for chasing after and trying to be everything that we're not. Instead of going, whoa, 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 let's just step back. Maybe I can dream of being like this person or that person or having whatever. But where am I? I'm in this body. And what are the limitations of this body? And what's the potential in this lifetime that if I accept those limitations, maybe I can actually start to enjoy it instead of struggling and fighting and suffering because of chasing after all kinds of desires, well, to be what we're not. So deconditioning isn't about trying to have anything or get to anywhere other than awareness. Okay, an awareness, an anchoring in your body, it really is like a frequency. Randy Richmond, an old human design analyst, used to say that reading a chart is like seeing a piece of music, and as your deconditioning process goes along, you really start to wake up in the morning, especially if you can sleep in your own space, which is actually, it's pretty impossible to decondition if you don't. You wake up in the morning with a sense of, this is what I feel like. And then it becomes easier and easier to catch yourself when you get trapped by your mind and you start to go off track into a trip based on fears and pressures and nonsense that isn't you, or you start to do something to people please, but that you don't really feel the energetic response that, that you're really available for that and that it's satisfying for you. And you start to move away from all those not self themes of bitterness, frustration, anger and disappointment. And as you do that, they wash out of your body. Literally, as your cells are replaced in that 7-year biological cycle, those new cells are not carrying the heavy memories of all those not self themes as a result of living a homogenized, conditioned life. So you can't speed it up, you can't escape it, nor would you want to. Maybe you do right now, but you're going to see that you'd miss out on all of the valuable learnings and mistakes and everything that you're going to have to go through on the way. It's not easy. As the American Indians say, the red road, it's a very narrow road and it's difficult, but it carries real meaning. And the black plane of the mind, as we see in the human design chart, there's the red and the black. Well, the mind can think of anything. It can get completely lost. And it's easy, but it carries no meaning. So get a reading, or if you've gone off track, get some coaching. You need it. You need the connection, the transmission, as they say in Qigong, from somebody who's been through that process and can give you the sense, really. Because otherwise, if you're just reading and trying to learn human design yourself, you're obviously taking it in and interpreting it through the not self-conditioned mind. And so how can you possibly, it's so clever. It's so clever. You can't beat your unconscious because it's the one that's producing all of your conscious thoughts. So how can you possibly get around that? I don't know. But in human design, we don't try to retrain the mind. We just bypass it. Just, forget about trying to deal with all those things and people and problems and, the blame game and the shame game and the guilt game. Just go directly. We teach you how to be aware of your body so you can feel your body's intelligence, your inner authority that was always there, trying to guide you in making correct decisions. And honestly, would I recognize the value and the intelligence of my splenic instincts if I hadn't had a reading and was pointed in the right direction to start acknowledging that my body is more intelligent than my mind? I really don't know, maybe at the end of my life, but then it would be too late. And it really takes around 3-4 years for most people to get a real strong handle and an anchor on what their inner authority really feels like. It is easier, we could say, for some people, some designs. It's certainly much more challenging and involves a lot more personal reflection and study if you're a projector, compared to a generator with this very substantial physical sacral response in every moment. Whereas for a projector or reflector, it's going to take a lot more time of simply observing and being aware and understanding, say, what an invitation really means and who really acknowledges and appreciates you in your life as a projector or not. Whereas a generator, you can just get up and go, and moment by moment by moment, decision by decision, in what you eat, what you do, who you give your energy and time for, you can tell straight away where you're stuck in your life and start to move away from that and back on track towards the keynote of satisfaction. So yeah, we can probably say that for some people it's easier in the beginning. For some people it's definitely going to be more painful in the beginning, depending on the baggage that you're carrying, the trauma, all the stuff. It certainly starts to come out as you become aware of it. So the first 2 years are definitely the hardest and the most painful for a lot of people. And your inner authority will obviously tell you if you need extra support or therapies or changing things in your life, like your nutrition, where you live. Your strategy and authority is going to take care of all of that. You really don't need to worry from a mental place about doing anything extra other than starting to be aware of that strategy and inner authority at play in your life. What happens when you follow it? What happens when you don't? Noticing those signposts of bitterness or success, frustration or satisfaction, anger or peace as a manifestor, disappointment or wonderful surprise as a reflector. And you really start to enjoy the journey because it's so interesting. Think about all those people that project meaning onto series or following celebrity personalities because they don't feel like they're the main character in their movie. And this is what it's all about. And it certainly doesn't stop after 7 years, right? That's when you can feel really clear in yourself about who you are and actually start to live out from a much more authentic place, as you would have if you'd have been brought up and fed and educated in a correct way that actually nurtured your physical potential and your talents and gifts. We can just be grateful that we got the opportunity of being in contact with this self-knowledge at this point. And if you've got children or friends with children, do your best to try to have an impact on their life as early as possible. I mean, if you're coming to human design near the end of your life, even if you're 85 or 90, it still gives you a huge amount of value, because by realizing you can finally start to make sense of your life, why things why things that didn't work didn't, and let go of the blame game, the fault game, as we say, and move towards, well, we talk about how to die correctly. That's very important. Going to do a series about that. Moving towards the end of your life with awareness, and everything that happened to you, the same as if you come to it when you're 25. Everything that you considered to be a huge disappointment or waste of time becomes something that's valuable and meaningful, because, hey, it got you to this point and you wouldn't be here without it, or without all those people that treated you wrong or whatever. The original name for human design was the System for No Fault Living. So yeah, try to enjoy the process. You can't escape it, you can't avoid it, you can't speed it up, nor would you want to. It doesn't stop until you're dead. It's not about getting anywhere. Once you get there, well, that's when you die. So let's not rush about that one, okay? Just about getting to awareness of yourself, how you experience life in your body, so that you can navigate life in an authentic, aligned way. Whatever happens, whatever you have to deal with, you'll be able to be honest, because your body's intelligence isn't going to lead you into situations that you're not equipped to handle in the first place. Whereas when you're leading your life from your mind, trying to go after things that you're not here to be or do or have or be with, then you get your knickers in all kinds of twists that you're then not able to handle, and end up with all kinds of diseases and physical problems as a result. That's one consequence. A lot of other potential consequences. Yeah, I could talk about this for hours, but it's a beautiful process. You wouldn't want to speed it up or miss it, and you're probably going to need help along the way. So remember that you're human design analysts. We're here to help you. It's not just a one-off reading and then you're on your own. If you want support, we're here to help point you back in the right direction, or remind you of how your inner authority functions, where it comes from, how you can be aware of it. I've had plenty of help along the way myself, and it's not like, it's just one traveler helping another traveler see the map more clearly and know where to go, or not necessarily where to go. As I say, it's not about getting somewhere that you think is where you want to go, but it's about how to approach the terrain of life, the resistance, the challenges that we meet. And as we go through our deconditioning process, the way we approach problems changes completely, because we're not trying to fix and work everything out from the mental plane and all the suffering and frustration that brings, because it's not really there for that. It's there for awareness. Awareness, creativity, the expression of your inner gifts, not thinking about, oh, what am I going to do next, or how I'm going to sort my life out and blah, blah, blah. Who the fuck knows? Nobody knows, and nobody can know that for you. If there's anything that my life teaches me over and over and over again, beating me with that stick until I start to get it more, is that whenever I try and look to the outside for what to do to give me the answers, nobody can be your inner authority. So the purpose of human design coaching is not to tell you what to do or who to be, but it's to point you towards how to be aware of who you are, your essence, your body, your potential, how it's talking to you, and how you can listen to it and develop a really deep, intimate relationship with it. Please feel free to post in the comments any questions you have, or if you feel like sharing any experiences along the road of deconditioning and what it means for you. I'd love to hear and read. And otherwise, if you enjoyed that, please subscribe, surrender, and I'll see you later.